Hey book nerds, I'm Travis, and this is Travis Reads Books. So in the spirit of Halloween, I thought I would get Sarah to come on and we can do some recommendations for spooky books to read this Halloween. So we're each going to do 5. You want to start off with the first one?
Sure. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is The Spooks Apprentice. Now this is an older title, and this is actually the British title, Spooks Apprentice. Here in North America, it's called The Last Apprentice. But anyway, it's really fabulous. It's about Tom, the 7th son of a 7th son, who ends up becoming an apprentice to the local spook. Spook's job is to basically fight monsters. So bogarts and goblins and all the things that go bump in the night.
Is that the one they made a movie about?
They did. The movie's horrible. Forget there's a movie. The books are amazing.
Okay, well, if you know me at all, you know I love my zombies, so my first recommendation is going to be Wrought and Ruin by Jonathan Mayberry. This is part of a whole series. This is the first one. There's a lot of zombie books out there, but I feel like Jonathan Mayberry makes the best world. All the books in the series take place long after the zombies have taken over, and humanity is just these small little pockets of resistance, but it feels very fleshed out, and it has great world building, and it's spooky, lots of zombie killings. So what's your next one?
So the next one I don't have with me. I should say most of these are middle grade, bordering on YA. So Miles and the Monster Outside by Philippa Dowding. Philippa Dowding is one of my favorite authors. She's Canadian. She lives in Toronto, actually. So Miles and the Monster Outside is about a family who is traveling to their new house. The husband's already there. So Miles, his sister, and his little brother, and his mother. So they're traveling, it's late at night, it's very spooky, and Miles starts seeing things outside. There's ghosts, there's a monster that nobody believes Miles about. It's very good.
Okay. So I'm going to give you my second zombie recommendation. This one is Zombie by Darren Shan. And this book was really surprised me. It starts off as kind of a typical Darren Shan gore fest, but there's some really intricate underlying themes of community and racism, and it's a lot smarter than I think people give it credit for.
So my third one is The Night Gardner. So this is about 2 Irish orphans, Molly and Kip. Molly's the older one. She's 14 or 15, I think. And Kip's her younger brother. Kip has a lame leg. And they have traveled to this house where they've been hired to basically be the servants. Molly knows there's something wrong. Something's going on. There's this like giant tree that's grown inside the house. The people are tired and pale all the time. And then she sees the night gardener. It's super spooky.
It sounds really creepy.
It's very, very delightful. This has to be my favorite out of my pile that I'm recommending today.
My next recommendation is a classic, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. If you haven't read Frankenstein by now, you definitely should, and Halloween is the perfect time to do it. It was written as part of a competition between Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker to see who could write a scarier book. And they're both pretty spooky.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a competition, and Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, and Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. And I think Frankenstein is the spookier of the two, but they're both great.
I don't know, Dracula's pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're both good books. But Frankenstein's one of my favorites, and I definitely recommend it for anyone who hasn't gotten around to it yet.
So another one that I'm going to recommend, I don't have with me, but it's called The Doll's Eye, and it's by Marina Cohen. So this one just came out this year. It really surprised me because although it's definitely like a middle grade novel, most middle grade novels, you know, no matter how spooky, no matter how scary, things always turn out perfectly somehow. This one has so many surprises and twists and turns. It's about Hadley, who is a girl who has moved with her mother into a house with her stepbrother, and stepfather. And Hadley does not like it. She does not want to be with these people. She can't believe they've had to move. She's miserable. And there's this old, creepy lady that lives in the garage that rents the garage from them, except she's been there since before they moved in. And she has dolls. Very lifelike dolls. And you'd have to read it. I don't want to give anything away, but definitely a spooky October read.
Dolls are always spooky.
It's true.
Alright, my penultimate choice is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. And if possible, you should definitely get the illustrated version, which has really fantastic, extra spooky drawings inside. They're all ink-based, and they remind me of those old scary story books. Do you remember the ones?
Scary stories and more scary stories?
Yeah, that weren't really scary, but they had really terrifying ink drawings in them.
Yeah.
That's what these drawings remind me of. And the book is really great. It's tragic and heartbreaking, but it's very dark. And the monster is a really creepy, scary monster, but you don't really know what his intentions are. There is a movie they just came out with, and the movie isn't bad. But the problem is the monster is all CG, and he's just kind of silly looking, so it sort of loses that fright aspect. The monster isn't scary, then the book doesn't really work, so the story doesn't really work. But this book is fantastic and definitely worth reading. And it's just, it's sort of a middle grade, sort of a YA, but it's very short. But get the illustrated version because it's really gorgeous.
So my last one is Haunted Canada, and it's any of the Haunted Canadas. This one in particular that I'm holding is Haunted Canada 6. It's written by Joel Sutherland, who I actually know. He's a librarian, and he writes fabulously spooky stories. These ones are true stories of Canadian haunted things. So, like, for example, there's pictures from the actual places that Joel talks about in the books, and they're all super well done, and it makes it that much creepier because it's based in real life. He also has just come out with 2 new books, Summer's End, which is like a horror middle grade YA thriller that's I haven't read yet, but I really want to because it's supposed to be super good.
Okay, and my final choice, which I don't have, I own it, but I couldn't seem to find my copy, is The Fury by Alexander Smith. and it's almost like a third zombie book, actually, in my list. It's not really about zombies exactly. It's about people going crazy and just becoming hyper violent, and all they care about is killing the people who aren't infected by whatever it is. And you don't find out by the end of the first book what is causing this anyway. But it's really scary because there's just this handful of characters who aren't infected or whatever it is, and just the entire world wants them dead. Their friends, their families, just everyone's turning against them. And I think it's very real in terms of how it depicts that feeling for teenagers, who sort of feel like everyone's against them and they don't have anyone on their side. And I think that's really what it's actually about. These teens trying to bond and work together in a world that doesn't really have a place for them. So I think it's definitely worth checking out, and it's definitely a spooky October read. Alright, so I guess that's it for our spooky Halloween recommendations. If you like this video and want more recommendations from us, be sure and click subscribe. Like the video if you enjoyed our recommendations, and thanks for watching. Love and respect. See you next time.